Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Margin Line podcast. I'm Joe Lynch, head of customer success at Delaney, and this show is all about peeling back the layers of how technology is revolutionizing dentistry, especially in partnership with DSOs and ambitious private practices. We want to give you the inside scoop on what actually goes on in the lab, the challenges we face, the advances we're making, and the stories from the front lines that matter most to doctors and patients. Today, we have Dr. Delaney Spaulding, the owner and lead dentist at Rossbridge Dentistry. Her career began in 2009 as a dental assistant before earning her bachelor's in biology from the University of Georgia and her doctor of dental medicine from Boston University's Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine. Since acquiring Rossbridge Dentistry in 2020, Dr. Spaulding has earned recognition for redefining what a dental practice can be, positioning her business as a hub for wellness, beauty, and patient-centered care. Dr. Spaulding is actively engaged in professional organization, is a sought-after speaker and educator with appearances on webinars and podcasts, and is known for her strong commitment to team culture and patient empowerment through education. Her leadership and entrepreneurial style have helped Rossbridge Dentistry build a reputation for warmth, innovation, and strategic growth within the dental industry. Dr. Spaulding, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you've built a practice with a reputation for innovation and warmth. How do you explain Rossbridge Dentistry at a dinner party?
It is an office that is my laboratory for everything that I wanted in a business and in a private practice. So it is not exactly your cookie cutter dental practice. And I want it to start from the very first phone call, kind of opening and answering on the first ring, and then have that patient experience be 5-star all the way through. It's the one thing that matters to me is kind of patient experience.
Patient experience. And you mentioned and call your practice a laboratory. Mm-hmm. What are the experiments? How do you think about the experiments that you're running day to day?
It is trial and error. Every single day, you can always think about ways that can make your practice just a little bit better. And some of those things are going to be possible and reiterative every single day, and other ones are not. And you just kind of have to tinker until you figure out what works best for your practice and for your patients and for your employees. And
when you think about the experiments you're running, what's the typical hypothesis, or what are you trying to achieve as you envision the next thing that you're going to try?
A perfect dental practice in my mind. That is what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay.
I have gotten closer and closer to that goal, but I think there's always going to be more things that I can kind of dream up and think about what I would want to do. But at this point, I love going to work every single day. Okay. And the tinkering is definitely slowed down as things are getting more in line with exactly what I want, because I'm 5 years out from buying the practice.
Sure. On our last episode, we talked about reflection and the process that's had and the impact it's had on Dandy. I'm curious, as you reflect back on the experiments you've run within Rossbridge, what have been some of the most impactful?
Dandy, actually. Mainly getting and becoming very digital. It's something that I wanted from the very beginning, but when you first buy a practice, there's a lot of things on your mind other than the things you really want. But I knew the goal and the vision that I had for my practice, and I knew ultimately I needed it to be digital. I needed everything to be digital. And Danny kind of got me into that sphere of being able to have a digital practice a little bit sooner than I probably would have if it wasn't possible to be essentially borrowing a scanner for a while.
Why was digital important?
It's the future. So if you were still going to be taking goopy impressions, you were kind of stagnant in the direction of the future. I wanted to be something that I would be able to show patients, this is how we're doing things differently. And at this point, I don't feel like digital and scanning is very innovative. I feel like so many people around me are doing it. But if you look at statistics, it isn't. Like, it's not every practice is doing it, but it feels like to me it is.
I'm going to take us a step back. And you mentioned 5-star experience, 5-star patient journey. What does that, walk me through a typical patient journey. When they come in, do they just come in for a cleaning? What does that feel like?
It feels like we are a friendly neighborhood dental office. So people call us mainly from Googling dental office near me or good dental practice. We are out of network with everyone, so they aren't exactly finding us on their insurance lists. They really have to find us through word of mouth or just by Googling. And we've tried to make ourselves a very big digital presence and Googling presence. But yeah, they give us a call. We answer on the first ring. We do everything to make their life easier. We get them in as soon as possible, same day, next day, whenever they would like to get in, not necessarily when it fits with our schedule. We do all insurance work, even though we're out of network. We communicate heavily with insurance to let them know any out-of-pocket that they would experience. And we just kind of start from there. They come in and just kind of get treated like a celebrity, which is great.
Interesting. So celebrity treatment is really the experience. It's from the moment they call you, actually from the moment it sounds like they start searching for a practice.
Yeah.
You're integrating digital along that journey, marketing touch points, same call or one call pickup, and then driving them through the experience. When they actually walk into your lab, what does that feel like? How are they greeted? How do you think about, treatment presentation and planning? Like, what does that experience actually feel like?
They're greeted by the same person who picked up the phone. We have a very small team, and I think it's really important. If you call the dental office, you scheduled an appointment, you are lucky and happy that you can get in the next day. When you walk in the door, Emily's going to say, "Hi, I'm Emily. I talked to you on the phone yesterday." Yeah. You already know, like, this person has a connection with me. They know exactly why I'm coming in. And it's just warm. We have a very cozy office.
Yeah.
Lots of plants, lots of just kind of at-home feels.
Okay.
Right now, we're very Christmas decorated and everything holiday related.
Got it.
And yeah, we have all digital forms that they've likely filled out ahead of time. And if they haven't, we just give them an iPad. It takes about 5 minutes to run through any of their forms. And then we get them back and we treat them the way that they want to be treated. We ask for their preferences. We ask if they have any specific things that they like, any TV preferences. Would they like a warm blanket? All those things are kind of ready for them when they walk in the door.
Yeah. So you've clearly figured out how the presence, the warmth inside of your office ultimately drives trust. And from there, you derive services, right? Can you walk me through your case presentation, and then how that drives case acceptance?
I think we do have a pretty high case acceptance. And I think it really starts with just, again, treating people the way that you would want to be treated. If you walk into something and you get told theoretically bad news, you have a cavity or you need a crown, you're not exactly feeling great.
Yeah.
But if someone could sit down and get you involved in that decision making, then ultimately you've turned that around from someone's telling me something bad is happening to I know exactly how to fix this because I kind of came up with it. So I use everything digital related. We have AI x-rays. I have the wellness scan, the diagnostic scan. We do intraoral pictures. I involve them so heavily in the treatment planning process that ultimately the patient is the one driving it. I show them their cracks. I show them their decay. I show them exactly what is the issue. And then we kind of come up with it together. And that ultimately drives case acceptance. And that's cosmetic and functional stuff that needs to get done.
Got it. And so you have the visual tools in front of you. How much of the conversation with a patient becomes driven off the visual versus a script or a talk track that you might have prepared in advance as you're looking at what needs to be done for treatment? I
think humans are just very visual learners, or visual and physical. So digital is great, but ultimately if the patient walks out with a picture in their hands of their cavity, they're going to go home and talk to their spouse about it. They're going to go show their kids because people have things in their hands and they want to share that with people. Yeah. But it starts digital. So being able to show exactly how far a cavity has progressed into something, a patient is going to want to see kind of how pretty much the science behind it. And if a dentist typically just shows you this gray looking x-ray and they say there's a cavity there, you're like, okay,
I don't know how to read an x-ray.
I'm sure that what you're saying is correct.
Sure.
But showing them color coded exactly where like their dentin ends and their enamel starts and all of that, I think really it drives case acceptance and they want to go home and book their appointments.
Yeah. So visual presentation, I think often people will understand their condition, but sometimes there are other objections.
Yeah.
Probably the most common is cost, right? How do you handle that? What do you say when someone says, I can't afford $5,000 for an implant right now?
Yeah.
What are the words you use?
I say that's okay. I say it is a lot of money. Okay. You have to acknowledge the fact that it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
These people are walking in the door and there is such a connotation of dentists are rich. And it's like, okay, but that's not exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Don't think about all these student loans and all, just the stress in general of dentistry and the fact that you have so much on your shoulders. And then you don't want these patients to sit in your chair and assume that you have no understanding of kind of where finances are for everyone.
Sure.
So if someone tells you $5,000 is too expensive, agree. If someone tells you $100 is too expensive, they are telling you the truth.
Yeah.
They are telling you that is not going to work for me.
Yep.
And it's taking an approach and saying, is this something that we can do a lesser version of, or is this something where this is the gold standard treatment and you have to have this?
Okay.
If someone comes in and they need scaling and root planing, they need a deep cleaning, there is no situation where I'm going to give them a prophy instead of that.
Right.
Just because it's clinically not indicated, and it is not great if they can't afford it. But we show them options of care credit. We let them know that all of our services are always available. Nothing's like a standard or a limited edition, you got to get it now type of thing, especially for aligners or anything cosmetic. Some people want to get all that stuff treatment planned. They tell you, I cannot afford that. And then they come back like a year later and they're like, I got money now. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess we'll start. And we know exactly where we're starting off because we got all the way to a certain point where the patient said, this isn't going to work for me. So
I guess... you mentioned care credit. Like, do you use other financing? Like, how do you think about your case acceptance rate as it relates to financing cost and those types of calculations? Yeah,
finance matters a lot. Care credit we've only had for about 1.5 years, and we've had plenty of patients utilize it. It's great because they're familiar with it. Care credit has done excellent job marketing themselves, and they're in vet offices, they're in plenty of dental offices, medical offices. So a lot of patients have used it before. Some of them already have the cards. If you tell them we accept it, there's always the fees that come along with it, but you can kind of work with your team to figure out kind of what fee are you willing to accept in order for a certain threshold of a case.
Okay. So there's also potential discounting that you use as a patient has financing issues.
Exactly. If we know that our rate for care credit is something that we're fine with, then we'll offer someone a pay upfront cash discount. And there's something that people just love getting a discount that if you tell them, if you walk in here with a check, we're going to knock $500 off, that it is worth it for them.
Okay.
So those types of things really help. We used to do in-office financing, but we just got burned so many times.
Sure.
That is just when we put someone on a payment plan. I will say with aligners, no one ever didn't pay us for aligners. It was always other things that they didn't necessarily continue paying for. But aligners, every single one of our aligner patients that we did in-office financing, they did kind of follow through and pay the entire case.
Wow. It's what you would expect. It diverges from what you would expect, right?
I just figured if it's a money thing, it's a money thing. But to see it's case specific of like what people will stop paying on and what things they won't.
Yeah. So a lot of what you're describing depends on having the right infrastructure. You mentioned going digital, having a digital scanner. Like, walk me through the conversion from when you bought the practice and how you digitized basically end to end, it sounds like.
Yeah. I bought the practice and it was already a pretty digital practice.
Okay.
It was only a 10-year-old practice. It had 3 operatories and everything was fine. It had digital x-rays and it had EagleSoft. So it had a digital PMS. I immediately knew I wanted to have integrated forms. And that is something that I think a lot of dental offices have at this point. But coming into a dental office, pulling out a clipboard and filling out paper and pencil, my immediate first impression when I go to a doctor's office and that happens is a little bit of disappointment of
they're behind.
You're behind. You haven't gotten to the point of everyone else. So I wanted to have digital integrated forms that people could either fill it at home or on an iPad. And at the time, I really liked Flex. Flex only integrated with Open Dental. So the first thing I did when I bought the practice was switch from EagleSoft to Open Dental in order to get Flex. And that happened within a few months.
Okay.
The next thing that I wanted to have was a digital scanner, but I put it off for a while trying to get everything else, all the other systems kind of figured out first.
Okay.
And then once we were able to bring in a digital scanner, having all of the case flow go digitally is also extremely convenient. Having a platform where we know exactly where everything is, when everything's going to be back, expected due dates, just having all of it there. I always knew I wanted to do digital wellness scans at like hygiene visits. So as soon as we were able to do that, you're exposing the patients to different like digital levels every single time that they come in. And when they come in and I've introduced something new digitally, now I'm starting to get the comments from patients of like, you're at it again. You're doing this again. But I'm like, yeah, but look at this. This is so cool. Yeah. I like to show it off because I'm interested. So I think they're interested.
I agree. So a PMS transition, a forms transition, and then a transition from analog to digital labs.
Yep. And then our most recent one is AI x-rays, and that has been transformative too.
And AI x-rays. So 4 major technology shifts. Tell me about the staff. What we hear when I talk to customers and prospects is change management is hard.
It is.
Staffing is already hard.
Yeah. And
layering on new tool adoption, introducing incremental change within the practice actually just becomes very hard. What's your approach? How do you drive that change through?
I've been fortunate that I have a pretty young an adaptive staff.
Okay.
We were a pretty young practice, and I did buy the practice in 2020, and I made a ton of changes immediately. So anyone who wasn't going to be okay with me changing things kind of left immediately, like within a week.
You were transparent.
Exactly.
This is the future.
I said, this is what I'm doing.
Okay.
Kind of get on board. And ultimately, I have most of my exact same team that I've had for 5 years. Pretty much, I love it. I love the fact that the people I have understand my vision. They understand that they are going to be learning new things about every 6 months.
Yep.
And it's ultimately going to make their day-to-day easier, better, more efficient. We are going to have higher production numbers, better patient satisfaction because they've seen that. But it's hard to get that buy-in the first time you're ever changing something. Yeah. So I can see the hesitancy of older doctors who have been doing this for 20 years thinking like, I want to implement this, but it has to do with their buy-in. If the doctor is all about it, the team has to get on board. Ultimately, who is in charge of the ship? And you can say that, well, if the team's going to fight me, they're going to fight me. They will. But once they see what it can do, everyone wants their day-to-day job in life to get easier. So why wouldn't they at least try it if they know that their life can get easier?
So you buy the practice, and I'm going to push because I know a lot of our listeners have this exact same concern. Were you upfront with the staff right away? Hey, we are going to make this transition to a fully digital office, and that's the vision. That's where we're going to keep pushing that direction. Or was it something that you started, we're going to make a change here, and then 6 months later, here's a second change? Like, how big was the vision when you started, and how much of that did you communicate up front?
I communicated very much with them that I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but I know what I want to do.
Okay.
So I had no clear exact vision of what I wanted it to be at this point. This is 5 years down the road, and I'm nearly to where I want it to be. But when I started, it was just identifying individual problems, individual things that are just not exactly what I want, and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. That part, I was very upfront with them of telling them, I'm going to be changing things, and before I do, I'm going to let you guys know about it. I'm going to let you guys know why we're doing it. We're going to have training on it.
Okay.
None of this is going to be, I'm expecting you to be perfect about something that I'm just throwing at you on a Friday and I want you to do it on a Monday. So having them very much involved in it has been great. When I told them, like, our scanner arrives like on Monday, we're doing our training on Tuesday, they were excited and very nervous because they were like, is she going to make me use this every single day? And now if I ask them to do anything other than use the scanner, they roll their eyes at me. Okay. So it's one of those things where people are always hesitant for change, but you only need one person to be
the champion.
Exactly. And as the owner of a private practice, you are the champion, whether you like it or not. That is your role.
Yeah. And so it sounds like, and I'll just paraphrase, you set the vision early. Mm-hmm. You said, this is where we're going to go. I don't know all the answers, but I will figure it out with you. Mm-hmm. And then with each change, you led with high standards, but also provided high support through like training and enablement. And
I accepted feedback.
Okay.
There's a lot of teams that feel hesitant to tell the doctor when something isn't working out. Yeah. But sometimes it is. If you have a constant complainer, you can't always listen to that person, but let them know that especially if you're asking them to do something and you know you're not going to be doing that part of it every day, you'll help them with the training, but you're ultimately offhanding something to them. If they tell you like, this is too much, or I need something changed, or this is slowing us down, you have to work with them for a solution. But that's not an all or nothing, black and white. Let's take it away and let's go back to the old way. There is a constant navigation in order to get to where everyone is going to be happy.
Yeah. So tell me, you make this transition, you've got your team in place now, you're continuing to evolve. How has that impacted your financial situation?
Office-wise, very good. Okay. I took the practice from collecting about $400,000 to over $1 million in 4.5 years.
Okay. So 2.5x return.
Yep. That was not my expectation. That is exactly what happened from tweaking the things of, if I was a patient walking into a practice, what would I want to see?
Yeah.
And those changes throughout those years got it so that I can say, I have $1 million practice. That's exactly what I want. And I'm happy going in every day. In a 4-op practice it was fine before. There was nothing wrong with it before, but it's just small little changes can make such a difference. And one of our biggest changes was going digital because it opened up like 6 different new avenues for revenue by having a digital platform.
Tell me more. Like what are those channels? What are those avenues?
We were using Invisalign before. I had a few hard cases of taking analog impressions, getting them sent back, them telling me like there's bubbles. I'm looking at them like there's not bubbles, but ultimately they want you to get their scanner, and I understand that. So I stopped doing Invisalign cases because they started to be so much more of a headache than they were worth. They were expensive and they were a headache. So I just said, we're not just going to do that anymore. I'm just going to take a break. We're not going to do aligners. And I wanted to do big cases, but how do you explain to patients exactly what it could look like?
Right.
Unless you're going to pay a lab to do a digital wax up to get the patient on board. I, as a person, as a patient, would not want to pay for something before I know what it would look like. So the idea of saying, we'll get the patient to like pay for records to get their commitment before they're interested, I just didn't understand that. So there's a lot of things that I would not push to have be part of our practice unless it was easy. So with going digital, we have easy clear aligners that we can scan a patient in 2 minutes. We'll have the mock-up back within, honestly, less than a week. It's usually like day or next day. I'm very impressed by how quickly it comes back. And then I can send it off to a patient and say, when they're sitting in the treatment room and they have mentioned the idea that they might be interested in having aligners, I say, we're going to go ahead and scan you. When we get it back, I'm going to let you know what it would look like afterwards, how many trays you'd be in, and what the price will be.
And you do that during a regular hygiene visit?
Oh, yeah. They come in and they might bring it up, or I might say, you have some crowding in this area. It's a little bit harder to clean when it's crowded. Have you ever been interested in straightening it out? Okay. Keep it very casual. If they say no, back off. You're done. Yeah. If they say, yeah, like I had braces, didn't wear my retainer, it keeps moving, it keeps getting worse. Yeah. Then it is so easy to transition into that next sentence of, let's just go ahead and scan you. It takes 2 minutes. Be casual. Yeah. And say that there's no commitment. We're just going to do all of this and then I'll send it to you.
See, it sounds like digital has enabled you to surface unmet needs, on voice needs, right? It's
the patients bring up the needs once you show them what you're looking at. Yep. Same with the digital wax ups. I did not think that was going to be such a thing, but once we started doing wellness scans, which are now diagnostic scans, and I think that's a great name for it because it is a diagnostic scan to show the patient, here's your mouth. Have you ever seen it? Like, have you seen it like this? Yeah. And then you can show the patient exactly what you're interested in. If you've been talking to the patient about erosion and crowns that they need it. Right. But they have been told that for their entire adult life. And you are no different than any other dentist telling them like, you need crowns, because they're just thinking huge price tag. Do I even need it? This is how my teeth are. Right. Once you can show them kind of the damage that everything is doing, more so than even with an intraoral picture, you can show exactly how the teeth are fitting together, exactly where that wear pattern is. And then you say, I'm going to go ahead and send off for a digital wax up because I want to see what we could do. You don't need their acceptance, I don't think, because like you can just, you can say don't. Like you don't have to do anything with this, but I'm interested in a digital wax up to see kind of what we could do to protect your teeth. Yeah. That just starts the conversation in a way that people are visual learners. They want to know. Yeah. So we get it back and then I have the patient come in, or I'll just send them a video of like, hey, the digital wax up. Just wanted to show you. This is kind of what's involved. I'll also send over the treatment plan of what this would cost if you want to move forward with it. If not, at least we have it. We'll talk about it next time you come in for your cleaning in 6 months. Okay. So you get the digital wax up back. Mm-hmm. You're recording a video. Mm-hmm. Is that on your cell phone? How we have an office phone. You have an office phone? Yeah. Okay. Which used to be my phone and then just evolved into the office phone. It is now the office phone, but it's sent through all of our normal HIPAA compliant stuff. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So the patient can actually just open it at home, see it, and discuss with their family. I recommend any office having an office phone, just an iPhone that's pretty up to date. Doesn't have to be the nicest thing. Everything with Dandy is a QR code. Yeah. And there is such this mentality in dentistry of you need this fancy camera. The fancy camera is great. It's going to get good pictures. Yeah. But for your daily stuff that you need, if you have a 23-year-old dental assistant that you want to empower to do more, you can teach her how to do all the great photography, which is excellent. Mm-hmm. Or you can empower her with the cell phone and have her kind of help figure it out together. You can take all of the aligner pictures on a cell phone. Yeah. Just having an office phone opens up a lot of things. It's fascinating. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pivot us. Yep. And we talked about how your practice has gone through massive transformation digitally. Mm-hmm. We talked about how that impacted ROI, 2.5xing your collection rate, your total collections. The most non-traditional thing that we found about your practice is that you offer childcare on site. Yep. I have never heard of that.
in speaking with hundreds of dentists.
Yep.
Tell me about the decision. This is like a real experiment, by the way.
Do you have kids?
I have 2, 7 and 5.
Okay. How was childcare cost for you?
Brutal. It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard.
So it started out as an individual decision of this makes sense for my family. And then within a week, I was like, wait, this can be good. I grew up in a dental office that had on-site childcare. My mom's a dentist and brought me to work with her every day.
Okay.
And when I got to the age that I was school age, the school bus dropped us off. And also patients' kids came. Their situation was a little bit different because they had the childcare area was very much like within the waiting room, but a pretty big area.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like patients can use it, employees can use it. Mine is a little bit different where we have a condo directly above the office and it's mainly for employee kids. I popped a child kid up there or a patient's kid up there. If I'm like, we can do a same day crown, they're like, I have my kid with me. And I'm like, we have a solution. But yeah, it started out as we are going to have a kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pay for childcare anyway. If we can find a way to make this work with the office, for the office, and for my employees, let's make it happen. And then it turned into the most rewarding part of running a business for me.
Wow. And so how has that impacted? So there's dollars and cents. This is a major expense. Mm-hmm. But tell me where the upside is.
Well, employee retention.
Okay.
And that's not just solely it. It was a perk for me because childcare costs could now be with the office, but also I was breastfeeding, I was pumping, I have my kid there with me. There is such a 98% of dental hygienists are women. Right. 93% of dental assistants are women and 97% of office managers are women. If you have a private practice that is surrounded by this many women, you have to think outside the box when it comes to employee benefits and perks. People want different things. People are not necessarily money motivated. Some people are. Other people will absolutely stay in a position if you show them that you value them as a whole person, you provide flexibility, and you provide a perk that they could not get anywhere else. It's a great golden handcuffs, but I don't love that term because I think
it's really about the environment.
Exactly. I treat them the way I'd want to be treated if I was an employee.
It's also amazing the industry as a whole is facing a labor and retention crisis. And that's actually the area where you are massively differentiating.
Yeah, I have no retention issues.
Yep.
I have not had to hire. Wow. I haven't had to hire a new hygienist, period. Period. I've never had to hire a hygienist.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you think it's uniquely related to on-site childcare, or do you believe, what are the other areas?
Not everyone has kids. So it's not exactly they're utilizing it, but they appreciate an environment where they are heard, they are understood. And again, flexibility. I have a hygienist that has 2 sons that are in high school. I have no issue if she needs to come to me and cancel her last 2 patients. Not cancel, but if she wants to block off her last 2 patients of the day so she can go to a baseball game, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. There is a level of flexibility that I will never make them feel in any way uncomfortable about the idea of saying their family is a higher priority than their job, because I feel like it should be. In general. Yeah, I think you should pay people well, pay people a normal wage. But at the same time, that's not always the main thing that they want.
Yeah. So I think for most listeners, they would say, I could never afford that. Mm-hmm. That may be true. It depends on the practice context and setting.
Everyone's different.
But what would you say to those practices and those doctors is like, what might be a smaller version of that?
Yeah, I think that it is surprisingly affordable, especially if you have a large office where part of it is somewhat unoccupied. Think of like ops that you want to eventually build out, but you haven't yet. Just areas that, like, if you think about it, could easily be turned into a childcare area. Even a room this size would easily be a childcare area, especially for ours is mainly for kids under 2. Okay. So think of newborns all the way up to toddlers, especially because by that point, they typically, you want your kid to like go and be with other kids and do some amount of just kind of educational stuff. Yeah. You don't need that much space and you need 1 extra team member. So it's so much more affordable than you would think. If you can have someone that you would pay very similar to a dental assistant, and they are now a team member that is an office nanny / office assistant that can take care of any overflow needs.
Right.
But another way that people could do it is offer a childcare stipend. Anything that is going to help someone come back after they have a child in order to say, I value you as a team member, your compensation, your hourly rate is not changing. And I would now like to offer you something to make this a little bit easier for you. And then there's always the pushback of, well, that can be kind of unfair for people, especially if you have people who are like past having kids.
Right.
You might feel as though you're unfairly giving younger people money that are having kids. But at the same time, I have yet to meet a single woman who wouldn't want life easier for someone younger than them in order to make choices that they want to make. A lot of people are forced out of the labor market, especially young women who have children. And it just makes sense. Their wage to childcare ratio doesn't make sense for them to stay in as much as they want to. But I think that helping people with childcare, even if it's just a stipend monthly, is a great way to be able to do this without doing it.
I think it transcends your leadership philosophy, your cultural philosophy of constantly experimenting, iterating. I think this is an area where it very clearly shows through. You've attracted great talent. Mm-hmm. You're also attracting great patients. And one of the areas that you have a very active content profile, and you're constantly creating it. Most dentists hate being on camera.
Yep.
How do you know it's worth your time, or why do you believe it's worth your time?
I don't see how it couldn't be.
Okay.
So if you are a private practice, it's one thing if you know you want to go into corporate, if you know you want to do things that are not necessarily private practice. Sure, you don't need to be on camera. If you want to be great. But I think if you are taking on the responsibility and the face of being a private practice, you have to own it. You're proud of your practice. Why would you not assume your practice involves you? Like, you have to...
When you say it like that, it's so obvious.
Because if you are going to either do a startup or you're going to buy a practice, those patients don't necessarily know you. They know you in the quick 2 minutes that you're coming in, especially if you're taking over practice and transitioning. Any type of social media or videos is a way for patients to get to know you and understand your warmth and your compassion and just how you view things before they ever even meet you, which also drives case acceptance.
Right.
If they know that you're not sitting there lecturing them about something that doesn't make sense, but they see that you've made a lot of educational videos and you like doing this type of stuff, then or you tell them that they have a cavity and you let them know, by the way, in your post-op or in your after appointment email, there's going to be a video talking to you about all of this.
Yeah.
It's like just having people see your face and recognize you is so incredibly important for a private practice.
Is there a specific video or content piece that you created that you can just like tangibly point to it having driven ROI?
I actually got a ton of anxiety patients, which I will say dentists are not exactly thrilled about getting anxiety patients.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'm pretty dentally anxious myself. And
that's interesting.
It is. And it only happened by being a dentist. I was not like this when I was younger. It was something about learning everything that goes into dentistry that made me just really dislike the experience myself. I'm fine sitting on the other side.
Interesting.
If I sit in the chair, I'm a baby. I'm a wimp. I hate the sounds, the taste, the feelings. I hate all of it.
Sort of like ignorance is bliss.
Exactly. And there's no reason patients should be anxious, but everyone has a different reason. Anxiety is weird and it is so incredibly real and it stops people from coming to the dentist.
Yes.
So one of my highest viewed videos on TikTok was us saying like, Dr. Spaulding has to get her teeth cleaned today. Let's see what goes into the experience. And it has me with a nitrous nose, with sunglasses, with noise canceling headphones, watching TV, and just zonked out. And that got so many views and we had so many people commenting on it saying, where is this? Because if you think social media, it's going to go places that are not your local community. Right. And it's great if it is your local community or someone looks at it and they're like, oh, this is near me. And they had a thought of like, I had someone tell me yesterday that they didn't think you could get nitrous for cleanings. I would have never thought that that wouldn't be an option, but there's people that just make assumptions.
They don't know.
Yeah, they make assumptions about a dental appointment and they talk themselves out of seeking care because they just think it's not going to be possible for them. So that letting people know like we are anxiety friendly has gotten so many patients in and not necessarily huge cases, but very specific people. I also did a video of showing people how to brush their toddler's teeth. I think it was my oldest son when he was 2. And from the time that he was very young, like all kids, they don't want to brush their teeth. But explaining to people, not just patients, because this is going to everyone, if you have a child and they're 2 years old and you are struggling to brush their teeth, this is the position to do it in. It is okay if they cry. It's okay if they scream. It is your goal is to make this a pleasant experience. Eventually it will be. They're at the age where you're not being traumatic. You're not holding them down, but it's saying that this is a routine to be able to get into. And this is how you can efficiently get to all of their teeth and see what you need to see. Because you're ultimately stopping them from a lot worse trauma of having to go through extensive dental work.
Right. Yeah. And so it sounds like you niche down into your specific segments. There's anxious patients. There's patients with parents. Yeah. And so I'd love to understand, if you're a doctor listening now, where would you tell them to start?
So dentists are broken records when it comes to things that we talk about every day.
Yeah.
If you, as a dentist, don't know what you should talk about first, go to your hygienist that has worked with you the most and ask them to tell you, to imitate you, to tell you a spiel that you give. And they will give you verbatim exactly how you explain a cracked tooth. They will tell you how they will tell you how you explain periodontal disease or an abscess or a cavity. You say the same things all day long. Why not start with that? You already have a script memorized in your head because every patient is a new audience. So those are the easiest things to kind of work yourself into the idea of like, I can be on camera, and it doesn't have to be staring at the camera and explaining these things. It could be you have a camera set up off to the side, and then you are talking to your hygienist. You're talking to a patient and explaining something that you always explain. It will get you to the point that you understand being on camera. It's not as spooky. And then you can transition into other things. I'm not saying dentists should be out there dancing like that. It's just like I think it's a very foreign concept for especially older dentists to assume that if we say social media, we're saying you need doing pranks on each other and dancing and stuff. And it's like, no, you need to get your essence out there.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Acquired the practice, took it digital, started marketing, drove patients, niche down. It's an amazing transformation. Tell me about some of the mistakes you've made.
When I first bought the practice, I dropped all insurance all at once. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend being out of network. For our sake, it has been very, very good. But ultimately, I would have done it in a way that made a lot more sense for the community around me. And I didn't know enough about communication styles in order to realize how that could have been handled better. Sure. We ultimately, financially, it turned out okay. But I think I alienated over half of my patient population. Like they left.
From the get-go.
They left. Yeah. And it could have been handled a little bit better if I would have thought more about it. And ultimately, I think we'd be making more money, but it doesn't matter because it wasn't about the money. It's about the fact that I got the practice to be exactly what I wanted. But sometimes the way I am, I sometimes push things a little bit too quickly.
Sure.
And in a communication style that I would appreciate, but everyone's different and everyone receives information differently. And I have only truly learned that from owning a practice.
Okay.
You talk to different patients differently. You talk to different employees differently. You talk to even just different reps differently. Like you have to meet people where they're at. And I kind of wish I would have done that a little bit differently.
Okay. So you digitized, brought your lab offering into, or digitized your lab offering. Tell me about your transition across the different restorative cases or clear aligners. What were some of the mistakes that you made as you started transitioning restorative dentistry to digital?
Restorative to digital, I wanted to do so much of it. I did not realize how much you were able to empower your team to do it.
Okay.
And I ended up kind of stepping on my team's feet because I was explaining to them how awesome this is be, how efficient it's going to be. And then I wanted to do all of it. And I'm
not getting any efficiency.
Exactly. Yeah. But I like doing those things. But I realized how much more efficient I could have been in those like 4 months. Also, marketing. If you can step on your own toes so many times by wanting to do something and just not really taking a step back and doing it in the right order. So we brought aligners in. It didn't start any aligner cases. This is after we stopped doing Invisalign. We started doing clear aligners with Dandy. And we didn't sell any for like 4 months. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I didn't tell any patients about it. Yeah. I didn't put it anywhere. We didn't advertise it. I just knew that we were offering clear aligners. I told my team we were offering clear aligners. And for some reason, I just thought that
they would sell.
Yep, that'd just be a thing. But yeah, we didn't talk about like how we would talk about it. I wasn't doing the diagnostic scans on everyone. Right. If you do the diagnostic scans, the patients talk about it themselves. They say, that's really crooked. And that is just such your in to talk about it.
Yeah.
I also put on our medical history updates and our new patient forms, I put a question of, are you interested in straighter teeth? Just that. And from that, we got so many people interested in clear aligners because I just say, you mentioned that you're interested in your teeth being a little bit straighter. What are you seeing?
Yeah.
And always ask a question. Don't like start telling them like, I agree.
Yeah.
You say like, tell me what you're seeing and let them talk. If they talk, they are going to talk themselves into aligners before you say anything.
How did you realize that?
It really is trial and error.
Okay.
Looking back, I am a much better communicator, talker, person, mother, spouse, everything through the experience that I've had from owning a business. It is one of those things that is unlike any other, and you can't skip any steps. My case acceptance is so high right now because my patients know me. They've been with me for a long time now. Yeah. And even new patients coming in, I know how to meet them where they're at and read them immediately to figure out kind of what is going to matter for them. And I wish that is something that you could just download into people or tell them like, this is a perfect trick, but just kind of be willing to learn new things.
Is that reflection intentional at this point?
It's very intentional at this point. I am so much better at recognizing where I am faulty in certain areas and kind of leaning into it and saying like, this is not my strong suit, but it's going to be.
Yeah.
You have to be so willing to learn new things and to say, this is what I want to do. When I started out, I did not want to do any cosmetic cases because the people scared me.
Yeah.
The cases, I was like, I can do that. That's fine. But the people that are attached to cosmetic cases are a little more high end, a little uppity. They know exactly what they want, and they are going to be so mad if you get it wrong. And I just kind of learned to meet their personalities and be okay with their personalities. And Botox and filler helped me get into digital dentistry, doing like all of the aesthetic things. I wouldn't have had the confidence of doing all that unless I understood how to talk to people about their face. Because women are very particular, and men, but mainly women are very particular about their face and their Botox and their filler. And being able to gain trust in those types of ways got me to the point that I could talk about doing full restorative cases and veneer cases, even aligner cases, because people want to look better.
Yeah. So you have your dental practice. You also have an attached wellness practice, Botox, filler, facial. How did you integrate those?
We very much have them coexisting.
Yeah.
I started doing beauty days about 2 years ago because my business mind was trying to say, how can I make this make a little bit more sense economically? It's always financially viable as long as you're not wasting Botox at the end of the day. But I knew if I could get most of my Botox people, Botox and filler on like one day every 3 months, then I could buy in bulk. If you buy in bulk, you get more product.
Right.
Get more product, that decreases the price and you can have a higher return.
Right.
So it started out as I just have like these vials, and if someone comes in for a cleaning, I can give you a little bit of Botox here and there. But by making it this huge event that we kind of work up to and we advertise about, we have a very good discount of people coming in on that day. It drives so many people in the door. If they come in for Botox, they see our office, we treat them the same as dental patients when they're coming in, and they have to fill out our new patient forms. They understand that we offer other services, and then I get dental patients from that. There's a lot of dentists that see it as like, I don't know if my patient population wants Botox. Who cares? Other people want Botox. They come in, they become your dental population.
Right.
There's so many different avenues of how to make Botox work for you, either for advertising or as an adjunct or even as employee retention.
Yeah.
If I gave all of my employees Botox bucks instead of like just any type of bonus, they would all prefer that.
Yeah. So you have built this flywheel, right? You market your own content. Mm-hmm. You have a wellness practice attached that drives dental patients, and then a dental practice that drives wellness patients. 5 years from now, what does success look like for you? Is it more locations? Is it selling the practice, teaching the next generation? Like, what's the end game?
It's a great question. In 5 years, I'll have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Okay.
So success for me is taking a step back clinically. I still want to own the practice. Mm-hmm. I love Rossbridge. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I want it to be my laboratory. to try all these things, but I don't necessarily need my hands in the mouth in order to make that happen. I love the business aspect of it. I don't want to have more practices. I love the fact that my practice is so uniquely private practice and my own thing, and I have complete control over it. And if you expand out, you lose some of that control because you can't be everywhere all the time. And I really want to lean into teaching, and I'm thinking about consulting. I've never really thought about the fact that anyone can be a consultant. But I get so excited talking about things that worked in our practice and the problems that we started with and kind of how we transform them into strengths at our practice that I want to tell people about it. Right. But honestly, I get enough phone calls at like 9 p.m. that I'm like, I don't really want to talk about this right now because it's like I got family stuff going on. So if I decrease some of my clinical stuff, I can increase more education, consulting, videos. I love doing educational videos for dentists, business videos. That is stuff that I would like more time to do and spend a lot of time with my kids.
Love it. And do you, as you think about creating those videos, is it, you said business oriented, is that a piece of education that you felt you lacked when you started or when you initially acquired the practice? Yes. Why step into that area?
That is something that is so not taught in dental school. And I don't think you'll find a single dentist out there that thinks it was adequately covered, because even once you've owned a business for multiple years, you are still learning new things. So the idea of being able to learn that alongside how to do a crown prep is just, it's nonsense. They can try, but like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. I volunteer going into a dental school right now to teach parts of their business curriculum in such a real world approach that it makes me so excited seeing the fact that I'm telling them things they have never heard before. They have never understood. I am so passionate about the idea of systems. Right. And I think there are so many ways that dentists lack systems because they want to do the dentistry and they want to walk out the door. Right. But if you can put a system into your dental practice that takes you 10 minutes a day, you protect yourself from embezzlement. You protect yourself from losing so much money in wasteful things or errors that it's just, I am passionate about that stuff. Dentistry is fun. I like it. I'm good at it. It's fine. Yeah. But like, that is the stuff that I think has infinite return on being able to, if I can teach one dentist something, that's one more person that is not going to have to feel how I felt when I bought my practice and could not explain to you what a claim was. Did not know any of that stuff. I started with just opening my mail and reading it and knowing like
what to do.
Yeah, this is from insurance. Read it and just kind of like work yourself through it. And I have had excellent support systems with both my parents being in the dental industry. Right. And they helped me so much when I bought my practice. But it really was drinking through a fire hose. You have to learn so much when you buy a practice.
Yeah. I think this is one of the areas where we see DSOs actually do a really, really good job of. They build repeatable systems. They hire and train really well. And
they have the money to do it. Yeah. The money and the time and the resources, the people.
Yep. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing on the day you acquired and then opened Rossbridge Dentistry, what would it be?
It is so okay to be wrong.
Okay.
I was just young and naive and really thought I needed to know all the answers and know what to do next. And it is really okay to not know and to jump in and let everyone know I don't know what I'm doing, but we will figure it out together. Everything is going to be okay because you're in control. Even if you don't know what's going on, if you're in control of your private practice, I now know how in control of my private practice I am. Where before I felt like I was riding a bull that I had no control over and I didn't really know what was going on. And now I have a little pet chihuahua I walk around with and this is my private practice and it is mine. And it's my thing.
Got it. Yeah. It sounds like it's okay to be wrong is the direct quote, but you will make mistakes is maybe the other one. It's just like give yourself a little bit of grace.
Oh yeah. Life goes on. Yeah. Nothing is earth shattering. Nothing is going to destroy you. It's just you pivot and pivot and pivot and you will eventually have the practice that you want. I would not think I would be here right now. 5 years ago? No way.
Well, I'm glad you are. You have built something that is differentiated, profitable, clear aligned with the vision that you originally set out. It's amazing.
I would love if anyone wanted to know more about our practice to follow us on any social media platform on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Rossbridge Dentistry. You can find us anywhere.
Dr. Spaulding, thank you for joining us. I'm Joe Lynch, host of the Margin Line podcast. Check Dandy out at meetdandy.com.